Okay, apart from yellow, if there is any standard data source, so what we have to do? Apart from yellow, if there is any other standard data source which the data need to be extracted, assume that FI, HR, okay, project systems, okay, we have these modules, right? So if I want to extract the data from these modules, then what should we do? I have explained you this earlier, right? Okay, if that is the case, only there are two steps we have to perform. That is, log on to RSA 5,
Yeah.
right?
Activate data
RSA
source
5,
and replicate metadata.
that's it. So, suppose I want to extract the data for project systems. So, drill down, select your data source that you want to load it to BW system and click on activate data source. Click on activate data source. That's it, guys. That's it. Okay, so that's it. So log on to BW system, replicate your data source, and rest of the processes are the same. Okay, rest of the processes are the same. Okay, fine. Now, next topic today we are going to discuss is generic extraction. Okay, today we will see the generic extraction. In which case we use generic extraction?
If the business requirement is not satisfied with the business content, that time we'll use our own extractor, the pictures and the extractor.
Right. If your business requirement doesn't satisfy with respect to the standard content which SAP delivered, okay, if your business content doesn't if your business content doesn't satisfy with respect to the standard content which SAP delivers, then we use the generic extraction method. Assume that, okay, I have a data means table, one of the table, okay, and I want to get the data from another table, say SD table, okay, and in the same way, assume that there is one data in FI, FI table, okay. I want to get the data, okay, I want to get the data from all these three tables, okay. There are different ways to approach this. Suppose already means that means nothing but I need some report, right? The ultimate our discussion is the concept of your BW system is to generate the reports or your dashboards. Dashboards and reports are nothing but it is again your fields, right? The fields are nothing but your key figures and your characteristics. Suppose I have a standard info cube. Already available. Okay, DSO. Okay, which is getting the data, and I'm also storing. I'm also storing here. Okay, I'm also storing here. I'm also storing the data here. Okay, already available. Then what I have to do in this case? I'll create another DSO, okay, another DSO, which I will be loading the data to this DSO from all the three DSOs. Okay, from all these three DSOs. Okay, and then top of that I want to generate the report. Say I need the cube, then I'll load the data from there to here, then I'll load the data from here to here, and then I'll generate the report on top of my info cube. That will be one of my business cases which I can approach. Okay, suppose I don't want to do this because I don't have any standard info cubes or DSOs which is getting the data for this. Okay. If that's the case, means again for these two I have to create one more DSO. Means it all based on the amount of data. Okay. Again, as I told you, this will be done by your architects. This will be done by your architects. He will decide how should your data flow will be. Okay, because he is a person who understands the complete architecturing. Okay, what is a good option? There are different ways to generate the report, but what is the good option? What is the, because down the line if they need any changes, so what is the good option to do the changes which will not have any impact on other reports? Okay, suppose, so what we decided is, okay, I don't want to go with this option. Okay, I don't want to go with this option. Then what we do is we create a generic data source, okay, by using these three tables. Okay, that means before that, okay, because here in this case I want to get the data from three different tables. Okay, okay, but I cannot use three different tables in creating a generic data source. So first thing is I have to create a view. I have to create a view. What is a view? It is just a
View is nothing but a structure, sir.
structure. Structure. This view consists of the fields that I want to use it in my report. Okay, I'll create a view. Yes, view can have the multiple tables and select your fields that you want to use it in your report. And I can use this view in my generic data source. I can use this view in my generic data source and top of that the extra process. Okay, fine. So yesterday in last class we have discussed if you want to create a generic data source, what are the types of data source we can create? What are the types of data?
Table view.
No, no, no. What I am saying
Table.
is what are the types of data source we can create? I'm not asking which components you can use it. What I'm saying is what are the types of data source we can create?
Transaction data, master data attributes, master data text.
Yes, sir. Master
Right,
data attribute, master data text to transactional data.
right. We can create
Hierarchy
only,
you can't able to.
yeah, transaction data, master data attribute, and master data text. We can create the generic data source. We cannot create hierarchy. Okay, fine. And what are the components that we can use it to create your generic data source? Table or view,
That view.
function module,
Yes, sir.
or info set query. Table or view, function module, or info set query. Okay. And what is the T code? T code for generic data source RSO2. RSO2. Okay. So steps. Steps. First step. Create. Okay. Log on to SAP ECC system. Okay. Then log on to T code RSO2. RSO2. See, I'm into ECC system. Log on to T code RSO2. Okay, RSO2. We can create generic data source for transaction data, master data attribute, and master data text only. We cannot create for hierarchy. Don't have an option over here. Okay, fine. So first we have to decide which type of data source we want to create. Assume that I want to create a generic data source for transaction data. Generic data for transaction data. Okay, fine. So give the table name here. Okay, some data source name. Give some data Z data source underscore batch 15 underscore TRD underscore VBAK table. That is my table name from which I want to extract the data. Okay. So provide any technical name. Provide any technical name for your generic data source. And then click on create. Then click on create. Okay. Fine. Now we are creating the data source. Under which application module it should store. Because when you log on to RSS6, you should be able to see your data source under a specific area. So what is that area? Now I'm creating a generic data source based on my SD table. Based on my SD table. So provide the application component as SD, or you can also search from here. Okay. See, if I search here, you will get like this: SAP R3 SD, right? So select the SD. Okay. Then provide the descriptions. Provide the description. Generic data source for B15 TRD SD. Okay. Provide some descriptions. You can give any description. You can give any description. Okay. Then next, what did I say? If you want to create a generic data source, what can be my sources? What can be my sources? The sources are extraction from DB view or table or view. First one. Then extraction from SAP InfoSet query. SAP query is nothing but InfoSet query. And then extraction from function module. Extraction from function module. Okay. Fine. Now see. Now this is enabled. I won't say I want to use SAP query. Then here you have to click on this. You will have an option to SAP query. Now I want to go for function module, then function module. That will be enabled. Okay, but in this case I want to use sales and distribution, table or view. Okay, so by default anyways it will be like this. And what is the table? VBAK is my table name on which I want to create my generic data source. VBAK is my table name on which I want to create a generic data source. Okay. And then click on enter. Just click on enter, provide the name and click on enter. Okay. Then save it. So what we have done, first step is create generic data source, select the type of data source that you want to create and give some name. Then come here, provide your application component, descriptions and select the source for your generic data source. Okay, then click on save. Then click on save. Okay, so provide the package. Always, as I told you, it will be ZBW. Save it and save it under your request. Okay, see what is this screen known as? Which screen is this? Did we see this screen before?
Data
Yes, sir.
source.
It is for data source field selection, sir.
Right, it is nothing but maintain data source screen. Maintain data source screen. Okay, by default, you see all the options are checked here. Right? So, I want to load selective data load based on date on which the record was created so that I can give the date range. Okay, and also I can load based on my sales document type, categories, okay, sales organization. Okay, I can use many things. Okay, so based on our business requirement we can select the options. Assume that I don't want to transfer of many fields. Okay,